Alright, back again, Luke here. And as you can see in front of you, this is another project that I've been working on for a little while at least. This is a combo AV control box super gun. This is something that I wound up picking up a while ago, but I've been trying to fix this up slowly and run into a lot of different problems with it. Originally, this is an older control box and it really doesn't have too many features on it. And when I first got it, it was completely ripped to shreds. The power supply was dead on it and all the buttons here were really rough. You can see the front part of the control panel is quite rusted out, as well as the rest of the control panel on the back. There was some arcing and sparking that was going on in the back here, which I was able to rectify. I've rebuilt the power supply that's in here so far. That was one of the big problems. As well as the back here, there's a lot of screws on the inside, but maybe you guys can see around this plug jack here, there were scorch marks, and that's because there were bare wires on the inside of this that were causing it to arc. The video section for this is completely destroyed, so unfortunately what I have to do is I have to add a new video section to it to be able to use it. In the back here it only had like an RGB DIN connector for it, and it didn't have any other way to play this thing through the television. So what I've bought is a video converter here, which I'm going to try and wire up into this. I'm going to have to do a little bit of customizing and some cutting as well to try and get this thing to fit in there, and try and work out what's wrong with the rest of this section on the side here. It's taken me a very long time to try and get this thing to work as much as it does right now. At least when I turn the power on and I put in a game, it will play the music or the sound effects from the game, which is good, but I just can't get any video from it. So also these lights down here, which are showing the power and different power parts to it. Two of them are dead. They're completely burned out, and it has a lot of dip switches up here to change for the 2-player, turbo on, off, etc. Like I had mentioned before, it's a really old setup, but what's nice about it is it has dual speakers to it. It's really still, it's a good, I think, project piece here to get another control panel up and working. It's just taken a lot of work so far to get this this far. What I've done too is I've rewired this JAMA harness. I picked up a JAMA harness that was used for another system. I think it was used for Versus City. I wound up rewiring that so I could get this thing to work here. And yeah, once again, it's working, at least to the extent of putting out sound and playing, but it's not displaying a picture, so I'm hopefully going to be able to rectify that here soon. I've also had to replace the power cord on it. The old power cord was completely rotted through and had several patch wires on it, but the new power cord here is in very good condition. It's just wrapped up a little bit in these micro switches, which I'm going to have to go ahead and redo as well. But what I'm going to do next here is I'm going to try and see about getting the video converter wired up and see if I can get it to display an image by running some of the jumper wires here from the RGB sync on the JAMA harness and running those straight direct to the converter to see if we can get that, as well as running some of the power here from the power supply into the converter to see if it'll power it properly without doing too much draw on this power supply. Once again, this thing is rebuilt, so it has all new caps in it and all new parts. It's ready to go, but it's going to need a little bit more work. So what I'll do next here is I'll probably go ahead, remove all of the screws and stuff. I'll switch it on here so you guys can listen and at least be able to see that it is powering up, and then we'll go from there. So I'll be back here in a little bit. Alright, so as you can see here, what I've done is I've kind of cleaned out the inside a little bit, and I've gotten everything kind of connected over here to a PGM IGS board. And just for test purposes here, we'll flip the old switch on so you guys can hear. I'm going to have to replace this switch as well because this thing is quite fragile and kind of burnt out, but you can hear the sound comes out. And over here on the side you can see only one light is lit up. Normally there's 3 lights that are lit up. One's for the 12 volt, 5 volt, and negative 5 volts, but one's only going there. It is putting out the correct voltage though, but you can hear that it is playing the game. But yeah, nonetheless here, So since we have power going to it, we do have audio, and obviously the game is playing. The next thing we're going to do is try and tap the video out of this section here and run that through our video converter and then see if we can get it to display something on the monitor. So that's the next step here. I'll try and get to some soldering with this board here, and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so we've got everything pulled out here. I've got the converter all wired in here. I'm not sure exactly if this is going to work just the way it is, because there are some of the RGB pots around here and it might cause some interference with the converter itself. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can at least get some kind of picture from it. But it's got power already connected to it, and it's already plugged into here. So next thing we'll do is just hit the old power and see if we get anything from it. Oh, there we go. All right. Fantastic. Looking good here. That is nice. Might have to do a little bit of some adjustments here for it, but it seems to work out pretty well. That is what I'm talking about. Well, it's got some graphic glitches here on the game, it looks like. Might have to go ahead and take that out and put it back in. Yeah, that looks a bit weird. Huh. That's not looking so good. Well, at least it is starting up here. But I can't tell if that's... it looks like it's got to be the game, doesn't it? Well, maybe we'll pull it out here and try it again. Double check. Oh, man, that thing is in there tight. Here, let me put this thing down just for a second. Let's see if that changes anything. Got that back down there again. Hopefully there's no problems with the old motherboard. Could be the motherboard, could be the game. You know, obviously I don't play very many of these puzzle kind of mahjong games very often, so could be one of the two that's a bit messed up. Yeah, that's not looking right, is it? Well, I'll try and get out one of my other boards, one of my other games, and see if it does anything different. This is a bit odd. Shouldn't be doing that at all. But at least it is displaying a picture, so I'll try and hook that up to my other one and see what we get, and see if it is the game cart or if it's the system. Well, something's going on there. Definitely not getting proper graphics, so we'll get back on that, and I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so I went and I took the game card apart and cleaned it up, and everything's back to normal now. So it was just a bit dirty there, needed to be cleaned up. And this is going through regular composite cable, so that's not too bad for a composite image. It should look a lot better through S-Video. But at least we're getting video, we're getting sound. The other thing we'll have to do is hook up all the buttons. I'm going to have to get all new buttons for this thing and try and clean up the joysticks as well. Because the buttons that were on it were just horrid, really scratched up, broken, and filthy. But nonetheless, it's getting there. It's almost ready to go. Some things that I also want to do maybe is possibly change out the pots here for the volume. These ones are a bit kind of challenging to get at. If you want to change the volume down, you have to come over here and use a small screwdriver, which can be a bit of a pain, especially if you want to just adjust it on the fly. But I suppose that most of the arcade boards do have a volume pot on them, so it's okay. Shouldn't be too bad, but yeah, that's maybe one of the only downfalls. The other lights being burnt out there, not such a big deal. Maybe gives this thing a lot of character. As you can see, this thing was burnt out quite a bit, but yeah, it's putting out a good image now. So the next thing that we're going to do is try to get everything mounted in here. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to drill some holes through the metal. Yeah, maybe I can turn this down a little bit. Woo! Yeah, turn that down just a little bit. But I'm going to have to drill some holes here through the metal in order to mount this thing up there. But should be okay once I get it in. I'll just put it right there, and that way you'll be able to have good access to S-video and the regular composite video. But so far so good. I'll get on the next step here of trying to put this thing back inside the casing, and then we'll drill out some holes and go from there. So I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so for the next step here, I've just got this thing on its posts that I wound up screwing in there. And what I'm going to do is drill out the holes here. You can see I've kind of marked them here. I'm going to get them all lined up so that they're exactly center. But these are the two places around these two places where the holes are going to go. And then hopefully this will push right through here, and that'll be perfect for where the connectors can poke out there. So it's getting there. A little bit more to do. I'm going to go and grab the drill, and then we'll get on that and hopefully have a couple of holes here done up, and this thing will be put in place in a few moments. So I'll be back in a little bit. Alright, so as you can see here, I've got everything kind of put back together here. I've got our video converter all bolted in place, so that's all ready to go. And I've got the S-video cord here hooked up to the monitor. So we'll flip the old switch and I'll show you guys what it's doing. I've got this thing hooked up to the Neo Geo already, and you guys can see the S-video looks awesome. So but it's almost ready to go. So far we've got sound, we've got graphics, everything is in place here, so this thing's not going to move. And we've just got to get the buttons and everything wired back up, kind of clean up the top part a little bit, maybe sand it a bit. But yeah, this thing is looking very promising and looking like another control box here that I'll be able to use for some gaming. So nonetheless, just want to share this with you guys here for right now. I'm going to have to pick up, let's turn this down just a little bit. I'm going to have to pick up a new switch over here for the on-off, and I'll have to do some sanding on this thing. But I might keep some of it a little bit, you know, rough, just because I like it. It looks like it's been through, you know, quite a bit of abuse and then come back from the dead. But nonetheless, it is working as of right now. It's got sound, and hopefully I'll be able to go down and pick up some buttons for this thing, sand down the front of it, because that front control panel, this is the really, let's see here. This one really needs to be sanded down, as you can see. It's just got a lot of rust on it, and since I've been able to kind of clean up the top cover here, this is just like an overlay, a plastic overlay, and it's not in the best condition by any means, but it still looks pretty decent considering the age, so I'll probably leave that just the way it is, and I'll just sand this down, repaint this up white, and then get some white buttons and like some white ball tops here for the top, and that should be ready to go. But nonetheless, just want to share with you guys a little bit of a look at this project here, and hopefully I'll be able to put up some more videos on it as it progresses. But that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon, so thanks for watching.